afternoon, everyone. How are you? This is By Any Means, our podcast here at Kentucky Harm Reduction Coalition. Before we get started, and before I let our guest co-host today, Bree, introduce herself, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share. I need you all to go on your devices while you're grabbing your lunch, while you're grabbing your coffee, and share this podcast before we get started. Are you sharing right now on your platforms, Bree? I
I'm gonna. That's what I just picked up my phone to be.
am. Okay, so I am about to share on my platform. Um, Hop on in. We also have a YouTube link. Um, this conversation, I don't want anyone to miss. So we have a lot of people we need to send this to. Please share it for us too, so we can get started. Um, Bree, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for the people who don't know you, don't remember having you on before, didn't get a chance to watch. Introduce yourself for the people.
So I'm Bree. I am a harm reduction advocate and a pretty cool person. Formerly of BLM Patterson, I'm on the Opioid Settlement Council, and I do some fun things here with the community. My work started at HIV prevention services, and then it evolved into this beautiful and crazy world of harm reduction that we are currently in. So yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, cool. So again, like I said, I would love for you guys to share the stream so that we can make sure we get a lot of people in here. Ryan is out today. He had a funeral home going to go to. So we asked Bree to co-host in his position for our Women's Month kickoff. Now, I know that if you look at the title of this one, especially on our YouTube, if you look at the title, it may not say Women's Month, but that's because this co host has not really worked this system before. So, don't talk about me too much, okay? I try, but this system is very good, but it's kind of confusing to me. So I do my best. Y'all better not talk about me. I am trying to navigate how to use this in Ryan's place. But I'm excited. I'm excited to have this conversation. So we're just going to jump right into it. As you know,
Woo!
here at BAM, we have open, raw conversations, not to offend anyone. So there may be some profanity. So if you got kids hanging around, please have them move around because we might use some profanity on here. And we are definitely not trying to offend anyone, but we are real, we're raw, we're unapologetic about how we talk about things. Because it's all about community. So I see we got a lot of people joining in on this conversation. I'm excited.
So, because today I wasn't just a guest and I was a co host guest, I got these little things. So, I may, or, okay, just letting you know, I'm ready.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Bree. I hope my medicine kicking in because you know what? This ADHD had me going crazy. All right. So today, you guys, for Women's History Month, the title and the episode theme is Love, Leadership, and Accountability. We're gonna have hard conversations in surrounding community. Um, we want to create an environment where we're having an honest conversation about leadership, what community accountability looks like, and harm reduction among Black women without naming individuals that we know personally. We may talk about situations that are occurring, but um, yeah, we don't. We want to make sure that this conversation is grounded in community and not gossip. The focus is reflection, growth, and love centered accountability. So, um, I'm gonna open up with this line. All right. If you're not able to comment on YouTube, someone just sent me a message. I'm not sure what's going on with the system. You might just have to turn it off and turn it back on or something. But I hope that it opens up for you to comment on YouTube as well. I thought we did. Um, yeah, Jose, I it's not me. It's the system. Jose on here talking about it's that I'm not letting everybody comment. Yes, I am. It's not me, it's the system. So, black women are often expected to save everybody. Would you agree with that
Yes, we
sentiment?
are.
Okay, I know I just jumped right on in here, right? It's Women's History Month, so we're gonna grab hold of this conversation and just dive in. But what really happens is nobody teaches us how to hold each other accountable without destroying each other. And in harm reduction, we say meet people where they are, but what does that look like when the people are us? And that's how we want to ground this. What does it look like when the people aren't us? We're talking about women's history. We're going to focus and zoom in on honoring Black women leadership and creating space for this hard conversation. So let's talk about a couple of myths, right? First one, the myth that Black women automatically support each other. So I jump right in there. Is that a myth, Brie, or is it
I think is partly, maybe for lack of a better term, a front that we put on.
mm,
I think that we don't want to tear each other down, at least not publicly, because other people, like the white people, do it to us all the time. And so we oftentimes try to protect each other, and that may be more detrimental
mm.
than what may be perceived as an attack, because that is subjective to your perspective.
Good point. Good point. And we would love, I'm gonna try to catch, like I said, I have Ryan's out, so I'll try to catch comments over here.
I'll help
Um,
you. Jose
yeah.
is asking a bunch of things. Talking about coffee. He should have Ubered Eats us coffee.
Yeah. So if you have thoughts that you want to add in here, we'll make sure it's highlighted and get it on the screen. Um, but yeah, I do think that it's partially a myth. I think I feel the same way, that it's this assumption that there's an automatic go that we support each other. Because we're Black, we just support. I also think we actually do that at times, right? We just jump in because we recognize that it's a sister, so we're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna be supportive to this sister without having context. So I do think
Hmm.
that part of it is layered in the truth, right? Um, I think there is being expected to always be the strong one is another. I
I'm
don't.
tired of being strong.
Oh,
I just want to be a delicate flower.
but being a delicate flower, does that mean that we don't get to be accountable, or that we allow things to happen to us? Like, what does that mean? Because I hear people say that, or they'll say, "What's the thing? The soft girl era, or things
Uh
like
huh.
that, or being vulnerable." What is your
So I
take
like
on
to think that I am a flower, but I'm that flower from that movie that eats people, the angry one. That's the flower I am, where I'm cute if you leave me alone, but then, right? And so the whole soft girl era to me is because I think I we are always in trauma. We are
Mm,
living in trauma. There's no way we can, at least I'll speak for myself, I can be soft when I'm constantly in survival mode
mm,
because someone is always dying. something is, yeah, whatever that is, the Venus flytrap. Um, the world is on fire, the world is attacking us, and we are supposed to hold on our men, hold up our men, hold up our community. We don't have time to be
Mm-hmm.
soft enough.
Mm. Mm. And I think honestly that there is, I know in therapy, because like I've said on this platform and many others, yes, I participate wholly in therapy. I think that we struggle, and I'm speaking from my own experience, with holding both our strength and our vulnerability together. And I know in therapy, what we've talked about, me and my therapist, is that there's strength in being able to hold space for vulnerability, right? Like, why why do people, especially women, and then take it a step further, Black women, why do they think, or why do we think that we can't be both, right? There's softness in being vulnerable,
Mhm.
and there is strength in being vulnerable enough to say, I have boundaries. And so I think that instead of us saying that these are all myths, I think there's a space to say that we are we are actually demonstrating some of the things that we would like to call myths. They're not myths. They're not. They're the
Mhm.
actual things that we do. For you, Bree, and for our audience, a question I would like for you to consider is, why do you think leadership spaces can sometimes become lonely, for especially when we're thinking about women in leadership?
Because you become the face. You don't want to be another failure. You don't want to be the reason why something fails. You
Hmm.
want to be seen as, I know for me at least, you want to be seen as someone who is productive and supportive of the community that you serve. Especially in our community, we're all about community, building community. And so sometimes holding people accountable is hard because you don't know what the optics might be,
Mm.
right?
There we go with
Because you
optics.
are not going to engage in stop. You're not going to engage in gossip. It is the, if I do this, people may not know why this is being done, why I'm holding someone accountable, or why I'm ringing bells, and the optics can switch if someone else decides to flip the script.
Optics. I can't stand. I can't stand that term. It's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I get so strong about it is because who why do I have to perform? It reminds me of performative, being in performative spaces. I struggle with it because as an actress, yes, it's about optics. When I'm acting, when I'm performing, sometimes when I'm performing my pieces as a spoken word creative, I I feel like there is an optic to that. But when we're doing this work, I think it's something to say about wanting to preserve how things look.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, in my opinion, is not
Well,
being
I think it's
authentic.
because we are already seen as unreliable, as problematic,
Mm,
as aggressive, and so w- bring ringing an alarm, waving your flag like, "Hey, red flag over here," can be seen as, or translated to someone else
mhm,
as, this person's problematic. Oh, you just mad. You're angry. You're this. You're that. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to
mm,
navigate that space when it's easier to walk, because it's easier to walk away.
mhm,
I've
mm,
walked away from some people that have done some really nasty things to me.
mm.
And it's easier to me to walk away and stay quiet, and then whatever narrative comes. But it's easier to walk away. And I wonder sometimes if walking away is the right choice, because does it create more harm for the next person coming up?
Oh, and you actually segued us right into another part, a reflective question that comes up for this. And I want, you guys that are listening, that are watching, to reflect on this question. I tagged a few people in here who I know speak on these issues, who talk on these issues, who have their own platforms. So I would love for this conversation to continue on other platforms as well. Um, when does protecting community become protecting harm?
Mm,
And when I that question was already on our notes for today, but you naturally start to bring it up when you bring up silence and walking away. So I want to talk about that. And you guys, I said we are not going to be shaming or gossiping about people, but there was a story out there, and I don't know if you all have seen it. I only seen bits
mhm,
and pieces, so I'm not providing commentary on this business and this business woman. Um, what I'm talking about is a very specific piece in the issue. So, scrolling through social media, I saw that there was some highlighted story around Slutty Vegan. And I started to process the comments. That clinician part of me started coming out. And what I was looking at, not so much about the issue, right? She had a $2,000 vision board event. It sparked online like conversation. It sparked conflict within the community in Atlanta. Um, what I noticed though, and not going into that situation,
mhm,
was the actual like acknowledgement that the Black community in Atlanta decided to quietly step back and stop supporting. Um, People in Black communities started to quietly disengage.
mhm.
The response wasn't allowed cancellation, but you had organizations where they may have utilized this product or this service or this food item, and they decided to discontinue. But there was nothing said. And I was like, is quiet withdrawal accountability, or is it avoidance? Are we
It's a
avoiding?
bit of both.
Mm,
It's a bit of both because it's like the Target thing where we ain't stepping foot in it, and so we're gonna hit you where it hurts, where the money is. But I'm also not gonna drag you, and I'm not gonna make it worse for you. The
mhm.
idea of I'm not kicking my my sister when she's down. I'ma just move away. But that's harmful in and of itself.
Right,
The things
right.
that we do to protect each other sometimes create more harm.
And that's my concern. You know, um, I think I think Jose just shared a couple of things. I'm gonna come back to one of your other points, but this one I'm gonna share.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's more avoidance and complacency. Yeah, I agree. I think, and I also think it's layered. I do think it's this idea that if I speak on it, I'm shaming, I'm putting
Mm-hmm.
more on my community, I'm not loyal to my community. If I speak on what took place or harm that's taken place, now people are going to question my integrity behind it,
Mm-hmm.
or people are going to question my loyalty and choose not to engage with me because I spoke up or
Yeah.
I
We don't
shared.
want to get caught in the crossfire.
Exactly. Right. So I sit and I grapple with, because I have situations I'm dealing with just like you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Currently in this moment where I'm trying to decide when should community speak up. I looked at the situation with Slutty Vegan. I'm like, I don't, like I said, I don't know the context, but just the idea of the quiet backing out. When the community, our community, communities of color say, that's enough. We're not going to allow this. And we're going to talk about this in the open to other people. Like, what do you guys think about that? And I see, like Jose said, yes, you're going to be looked at as the problem, even when you're right. That's a concern.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of people, I hope some of the folks that I tag get in the comments, because I think I've actually engaged with a few of those folks where they experienced that. They spoke up about something and
Oh,
then
how do we pin that one? Call them in. Oh, I can't
oh,
do that. You got to do that.
look, I see you asking me, okay, that one. Oh, Susan, yes. Best to be direct and call them in. Yeah. Yeah. And that's part of this conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But before we jump to that, Susan, is to unpack. And I think that's what's important about Women's History Month. Because, yeah, we can uplift women. We also have to uplift how we treat each other. So I want to unpack that. You know, when is it time? And when should community speak up? Do we sit back and allow the harm to continue and just back out? That's the part that I'm concerned about, because, like you said, if you back out, we're perpetuating harm, because we're saying, I backed out. And so now I'm not going to share my experience because
Mm-hmm.
I think that's bashing a person, but I'm going to allow them, this business, this organization, to continue to hurt them, hurt other people. What's wrong with telling people? That's
Because then you run in, it's a fine line between, and it's not a fine line on us, right? I think it's a fine line
hmm
on whoever you're disclosing to, between I'm sharing some real shit
hmm
to we're gossiping.
right, right. Well, let's talk about that real quick. Gossiping, you guys. So the way that I understand gossiping, a lot of people know me in my circles of love. I don't gossip. I'm not a good gossip, because I'm
Oh,
looking
I
for a
know.
solution. Yeah. See, I'm always looking for a solution. Gossip is, I believe, this is Sharita's thought. Gossip, I do think, comes out of the context of gossip, comes out of frustration and the feeling that I have not been vindicated, that there's some harm that's been done to me, and I have to collect a group of people to support my idea because I haven't been heard with whatever power it is, whether it's a friendship, whether I felt like I wasn't heard in that relationship with someone. I am using this space because for whatever reason I feel like I can't, like Susan said, be direct. I can't share. So when people start to gossip to me, what they often experience is, what are we going to do next?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? Where is this really coming from? It's an accountability chat, because gossiping does nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I want people to hear that gossip is brought out of trauma, in my opinion, that there's some truth to what people say.
Right. So I think that gossip, it becomes gossip when you're constantly talking about it and
hmm
not taking action to find a solution. And that's something that I've learned from you. Like, you got one more time to call me before we
Because,
step.
and that's part of my, I'm probably a little different because I'm a clinician by trade. So when I hear something, I automatically go into a mind frame of, okay, what can we do about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's next? What's the solution, or how can I help? It hurts me sometimes, because sometimes people will tell me, I got friends that are like, I just need you to listen. Like, I don't want you to solve anything. But that's when I started learning to put boundaries around it and
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, you get a couple of times. After that, it becomes a trauma dump for me, and I
Yeah.
can't hold that space, right? So I'm glad we did that, because I do think that that's the fear people have when they start to think about, how do I now hold people accountable without looking like, I'm
You're
gossiping.
tearing them down.
Right.
How
Now,
do we call out and call in? And how do
right.
we judge with love and righteousness?
Right. And I think that, and it moves us into harm reduction framework, which is why I love this framework, which is why I'm fighting so hard to keep the language of harm reduction relevant, because I think the foundational principles allow us to bring that inside, right? So what would it look like if we applied harm reduction principles and to leadership and community conflict. What would that really look like? And I think that's where we get to see the calling in versus calling out. Now, let's take a pause and a reality check. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how many people, and Bree, you can share, when you first got wrote up at any job and you realized, yeah, I screwed up, I fucked up, I messed up, right? Did you walk away being like, oh my God, it felt so good to be held
No, it
accountable?
hurts.
It hurt.
It's embarrassing. It's a little shameful, not gonna lie.
Okay, that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
It's normal. It's gonna hurt. Like, I don't understand living in the world. And now, again, this could be the theater part of me. In theater, growing up in the theater, having Renako Jahi, Mr. Jahi as my mentor, he did not hold back when I was getting my criticism, my constructive criticism about how I was projecting this character on stage. Um, it hurts. It hurts because what it's doing is it's challenging your ego. And I think we have to be honest about it. When we're being held accountable, that's not something I'm not about to pretty it up and say it's not going to feel good. It's not. It's going
Because you
to.
don't grow from that place.
You don't. And I think that's the conversation to have first, is to say that it's not going to feel like peaches. It's not going to feel like a birthday party. It is hard. It's a I'm hard pressed, as even as a leader, when I have to hold a staff member accountable. I don't wake up in the morning and be like, yes, this is about to be great. I'm like, gosh, I gotta have a difficult conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing. Our communities of color.
We give too much leeway
Mhm,
because we know how we don't have it easy out in the world. So we try to baby each other, right? We're like even responsible for people not coming into work and for, because it's not about the person, it's about the community that you serve. So you have to remove that idea. Like, it's not an attack on you, it's not an attack at all. It is
mhm,
to help the community because we need to be served. When, let's say, leaders or colleagues that we have that may not be the nicest to us, right?
mhm,
It's the, I am setting these boundaries because I care for you.
mhm,
I am calling this out because I care for you. It's not an attack.
mhm, mhm,
But it's perceived as an attack, and we don't have control over that. I think that the way we move past that and we apply the harm reduction, because okay, meeting people where they're at, but at
mhm,
one point do you want better from that for that person and move them out? How do
mhm,
I drag you into a better space? I met you where you're at, we're here, and now come on, let's go.
mhm.
And if the person doesn't want to accept that, it's you become the villain.
Yeah.
And
And
unless you're going to involve yourself in gossiping or in constantly correcting that narrative,
mhm,
you just got to eat it.
mhm.
Hold that L.
Hey, I mean, I think you put it what here said. Jose said
I don't
Bria.
know whose last name that is because it's not mine.
I
I don't
think
know who Azanato is.
I think I always enjoyed Jose, who will likely be one of our guests in next month, sharing on his thoughts on the whole idea of meeting people where they're at, and but we it's like we put a period there.
Hmm.
It's like meet
Right, it
people where
ends.
they
Like,
at.
we met you here and we keep you here.
We keep you
But
here,
it's
and
not
I
that.
think
It's about moving up
it's
to a
moving up.
safe, healthy space. Now, that is defined by the person,
Mm-hmm.
but there
Mm-hmm.
has to be an end goal.
Mm-hmm. I guess I wonder, and to those that are in the comments, I see Susan and Jose. You know, I feel like they sitting in the same room. Are y'all kicking it today? Because y'all left us out, but they're really chatting it up, and I appreciate you all going back and forth with us. But I do want to throw this out here: is there a way to hold people accountable? and review, like, and not deal with the space of humiliation? Like, what do you think about that? Is there a
I
way?
mean, sometimes accountability is going to hurt. Sometimes you're going to have to be, in light of Jose's Pastora Azanero, I am Pentecostal. And so I'm going to say that the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Right. And so sometimes it it may cause you, what you lose in the moment is to save you from losing everything. Right. And to
Mm,
rebuild and rebuild on a solid foundation.
yes.
I know I've been there because I'm not perfect, but I think that where we miss the mark is of not walking with that person through the whole way. You can't, and just pointing the finger, right? Because this is a thing. We love to say so and so did this person did that, but what part did we play
Mm-hmm.
in that?
Mm-hmm.
Because people are only going to play with you as far as you let them.
Mm-hmm. True.
So what part did you have? What part did I have in my treatment, in my circumstances? How did I enable this? Did I see any signs before? And I was just like, let me look the other way. Maybe it's not that bad. That thing. We hold, it has to be a community thing. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, I see you're struggling here. Where did I miss the mark? Where did I drop the ball? And
Yeah.
how can I help now? How
Yeah.
can we fix this together?
Yeah. And I do. I think that
Not here, Jose.
humiliation
All my fingers
humiliation
in one direction.
comes, it does. I agree. I think that there is a certain amount of humility that's going to come with accountability. It's humbling. It's a humbling experience. When I've been held accountable, I always go back to, a situation here where I made a statement at a very significant meeting in front of a leader in our political space. And my board chair had to call me on that. And I'm glad I'm the person I am, but when I think about how it felt honestly, no, it doesn't feel. I don't walk away just smiling from that.
Mm-hmm.
It's accountability. I also have children, and I think with me raising, and now they're young adults, me raising my youth. If I was concerned about was it going to hurt, I wouldn't have been able to instill values and morals and helping them to understand how to navigate the real world. So I'm like, again, another thing I think we need to address in this conversation is, yes, there will be a certain level of humbleness, right? That's going to come with accountability. Because if you're being held accountable about something, that means that there's a need for a change behavior,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think for us, when we in harm reduction, I think that we have a better way of approaching it. So if we look at those three main principles, right? Meeting people where they are, but not leaving them there, Jose. Reducing harm without destroying the person. There's a
Mm-hmm.
way to do that. That's why we're on this chat, this call today, this podcast with you all today, and focus on behavior, not identity. Like accountability should interrupt harm, not reproduce it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that so many people are fearful of it because we've all, especially communities of color, marginalized communities that have historically been harmed in systems that we work within now. I think we've all experienced, and we all just come from a place of trauma at different times. So if someone wants to hold us accountable, we back up in the corner because it's like, oh, wait a minute, you're going to destroy me. You're trying to hurt me. So now my guard is up. I can understand that. You know, let me put Jose's And if people are still coming to you, that means people still have faith that you can change.
Is that what
Absolutely.
it is, though?
I think so. I think that sometimes people want to see, they have some type of faith. And I think that sometimes we want to see, it's like dating. You date
All
somebody
right,
and
maybe y'all are just better than me.
no, 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 no. It's like dating someone, right? A lot of people out here dating projects. They not dating a partner. They dating someone that they think have potential. And I think that's where it comes from. We look at each other and we're like, you
You
know
would
what,
hate to
yo,
see
you.
my dating life. Because the way I let leave.
But I'm just saying, I think that there's some truth to that, right? I think that there is some truth. And again, it doesn't have to apply to everyone. I think that all of this is what creates this tension in our community and our inability to organize and to work together. Like this is it, because we won't even sit down and have hard conversations. We won't have the tough conversation. And so therefore we stop each other's growth. We stop from helping the community because we won't have the tough conversation. Say, it's okay for you to have that belief. It's okay for you to have that position. But it's also okay for you to understand that your position, your belief, the way you view things is coming from the lens of your lived experience.
Mhm.
That's harm reduction. I respect you because your lived experience says this is how you're going to approach things. But when it comes to accountability, if we don't address it, we're
It
still
snowballs. It snowballs. It gets worse. If you don't address it, what I'm learning right now in this current space that I'm in is that if you don't address things, you are now complicit
mhm,
in the person's, I want to say, in the person's downfall, because that's never going to stay, right? And if
mhm,
you care for that person, you don't want to see them crash.
right.
But also to the overall harm that it causes to the community, to your other colleagues, to other members of the community, in the space that we're in. If we don't
Mm,
call it out, if we just look away, if we just have a conversation and just like, you know what, this is not even worth my time, I'm leaving.
right.
That that is more harmful, because now you're setting everyone else up for failure. And so,
Yeah.
are you really a harm reductionist, or are you the person helping create this harm?
Yeah.
Now we can't complain about things going left when we knew. We
Yeah.
knew, and we were just like, eh.
Right. And I think that's the other piece to it. So I know that we've been kind of teeter tottering on unpacking these issues, and I want to thank you all again for joining us. But as we get down to the last 20 or so minutes of this conversation, we do have solution. Here at BAM, we're not going to just talk about an issue. We're going to offer some strategy. We're going to offer some ways. And you take it or leave it. Like, this is not that space where we say this is it, this is how it works. This is our lived experience. This is what has worked so far for us. This is the strategies that we continue to operate out of. So when we talk about it, and we've touched on it multiple times through this conversation, calling each other out or calling each other in. In harm reduction, I would like to say, and in harm reductionists that are on this listening, whether you're driving or not, please don't try to text or post anything while you're driving, because remember, harm reduction first. But if you're listening, I want you to see if this resonates. Um, for harm reduction, when we're talking about accountability, it's a calling. It's calling in. But what does it look like? So, what does loving accountability
Oh, I'm dying.
really look like? Get you some water, girl. What
If
is
I
it?
get up, these dogs is quiet. If I get up and they start hooting and hollering, I don't want to be a
Well,
part of
don't choke on the live, because we might go viral if you do. Like, people like to
that. A
share
win is a win.
trauma. Anyway, but please don't. But loving accountability look like, and what does confrontation rooted in love feel like? So I want to introduce a framework that I've been working out to look at how to take the principles of harm reduction and create a framework for us to be able to start practicing this more diligently. Um, the 3 A's of accountability: acknowledge the harm,
Mm-hmm.
address the behavior, and allow repair. Let's talk through that, right? So acknowledging the harm. I think that's the probably the most difficult. But this is what I like to say to people. When I'm thinking about acknowledging something harmful, and I'll use my heartbeats. And it might be, ooh, humble curiosity. Yes.
Yeah.
Leaning in with curiosity, right? It's acknowledging the what happened that impacted me. And it's not a blame. It is the for clinical people and people who've been in those clinical spaces, it's the when this happened, I felt this way kind of scenario, right?
Mhm. When you do that, it makes me
It
feel.
Well, or just I experienced it this way. Because even with the whole it makes me, it's more of you really just looking at the behavior. It's like, well, when you didn't answer my call, Bree, when I was trying to call you, I felt so ignored. I felt like I didn't matter. And what it does is it allows the person to hear what you actually experience. Now, there's two sides to this, because if I'm sharing this, then that means that the person on the other end, we are hoping, would be open enough to see that.
Sorry, I just had to share all the damn hair that my dog is shedding right now. I'm so mad.
Lord, don't be mad at your baby. But that, you know, wait, it was personal because she didn't answer the calls when I was calling her. But that's how it works, right? It's like I can share my experience, right? I can acknowledge that. I'm not blaming. I'm not saying that I didn't go. You ignored me because you didn't. I didn't accuse. I said
Mm-hmm.
when I didn't, and it allows Bree to then say, "Hey, I'm wrapping up a call. Hey, I'm doing X, Y, Z, so that I can sit back." Because guess what? Bree can control and has no control over my feelings. And likewise, I have no control over her. So we're responsible for ourselves. And this kind of accountability, you all, it removes the responsibility and the task of that work for the individual. It makes us interdependent and not codependent. So acknowledging the harm, what was the situation? Addressing the actual behavior that led to this situation. How did it look? What was the behavior?
Mm-hmm.
What was the act? And in that description, like Susan said, like so asking questions, don't assume you know the answer. Well, can I ask a question? Why didn't you pick up the phone? Again,
Mm-hmm.
we have no control on the other side where that person is. They could respond and say none of your business. But if
That's what I was just gonna say. You don't
right,
know. Now you don't have, and I think that's where fear and that's where the fear comes in for some people. And we
yes,
have to be sure of ourselves and confident in ourselves that you can't be afraid of conflict because that may trigger someone to be like, that is none of your business.
right.
I
But
was
and
doing something. Why are you harassing me?
right. And when we do this exercise in clinical spaces, the first thing I tell people is we are having a very unrealistic conversation, everyone. And they're looking at me. I'm like, because you're practicing with no one. You're practicing with the empty
Mm-hmm.
chair. You're not practicing with the human. And if your thought, and this is information I'm gonna give to everyone that watches this even later. If your idea is that I'm going to walk into this conversation and I've already pre-planned how a person is going to respond, then that conversation may not need to happen right now,
Mm-hmm.
because the other person has a right to respond the way they feel. We're talking about how do Sharita, how do you start to change that narrative in our
I
community?
love that, Shrita.
Yeah.
I love that. I usually say that like when you disrespect someone or you make a shady comment or something, you don't get to respond. You don't get to dictate whether someone else took it too far. Like, oh, you took it too low. You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
When you open that door, you have to be ready and prepared mentally, emotionally for whatever response you get.
That's man. That was the hard, probably the hardest lesson over the last over a decade. I've had to learn to sit with what I would think makes sense and understand that it's truly not meeting the person where they're at when I'm saying, well, they need to. It's
Mm-hmm.
not fair. It just, I don't care what the situation is. Like, people have shared some really significant harms. And the first thing I would say to them is, have you addressed this directly?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're never going to get away and move forward in healing if it's not addressed. Now, pause. There are harms out here that are so significant and so detrimental.
Who you telling?
Yeah. And that having a direct conversation could cause more harm to you, your safety, your family, your children. And you can fill in the blank with whatever those harms.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say I am not talking about harms that are so deeply rooted in criminal behavior, that are so deeply rooted in an offense that's caused you an immense amount of trauma. That is where you have professional help come in. We're talking about, like the example I had, Slutty Vegan. We're talking about organizations that have harmed individuals. We're talking about leaders in the community. We're talking about women being able to speak to each other and hold each other accountable. Something that we have a hard time doing. So I want to be clear about that, because someone may hear this and be like, well, what, how do I do that with someone who's violated me and my body? That's a different level, and we are not talking about that. Again, the whole idea is that accountability should interrupt harm, not reproduce it. And as long as you keep that in front of you, you're going to understand where this lands. So I want to send that out. Allowing repair is a big one. Love without
Ooh,
accountability,
that is a big one.
it is. Love without accountability becomes enabling. Accountability without love becomes punishment. This is the thing. Um, I've often said to people, and people have experienced this with me, who I'm still connected with. There was a harm that was that happened, that harmed that relationship, that friendship, whatever it is. And then there was opportunity for restorative practice. There was amends made. And I'm gonna say it like this: just because a person make amends doesn't mean that they get the same access. A lot of people hold on to things, and repair does not mean we go back to the same. A repair means that, wow, I can actually practice from a lens of harm reduction, from love, from compassion and empathy, and say that
Mm-hmm.
this person has acknowledged their harm. They've made an attempt to repair. Now, my job as a person who's healing and has boundaries is not to allow a person to do or behave or inflict this harm on me potentially again. So I don't have to put myself in a situation where I'm going to engage with that person and allow this violation to happen again. That's and if that happens to people, then we're talking about a separate issue, which is your own self worth and holding yourself accountable to allowing this to continue. That's a different story, too. But allowing repair is simply understanding that people, we are human.
I mean, when you say that though, repair to what extent? Because
So,
I could accept an apology.
uh huh.
I'm never gonna, because everyone deserves that,
Yes.
right? And the apology is for the person, it's not for me, because
Hmm.
you hurt me, you hurt me. Like, that apology is to make you feel better. I'll accept it because I'm not gonna block anyone's growth or anyone's blessing.
Hmm.
But I hope you have the life you deserve.
And that's it. I'm going to say
And
this.
I don't know what to tell you. Like, take it up with Jesus.
Right. And you have every right to leave a person right there,
Where the
right?
right, you're
And
gonna
that's
say
a
right there
boundary.
where you had me messed up at.
Right. And that's a boundary. That's a boundary and it's perfectly fine. I tell people, it doesn't mean that you're about to be BFFs. It means
Mhm.
that that person has acknowledged it. You know, it's funny because I see a lot of people be like, I just want closure. Closure sometimes is a person acknowledging their harm and apologizing. You get to say, good deal. It was nice knowing you. Thank you. And move
Mhm.
on. That is repair. Repair does not mean that we are back into connection and you have the same level of access. I will
Right.
always stand by that. A lot of relationships with me have been repaired. And I'm happy about that because it's a weight off of me. It helps me in my health, my mental health moving forward. It helps me understand human capacity, human abilities. I'm also a person who have harmed people unintentionally and definitely intentionally in my younger years. So I'm a person that's changed. And I feel like when we layer the lens of harm reduction over people, even leaders, I don't have to like you. My love for community goes deeper than what your superficial like for me ever will. And there's a lot of people that don't like the person I am or the person you are, the people who are on this stream. But the
And they're
love
allowed
that
to be wrong.
they're allowed to be, they're allowed to like and love whoever they want. My job is to demonstrate what true compassion looks like and feels like. And so I think my beef is I wish we did it more in our community. Um,
What? Hold people accountable?
yeah, hold people accountable,
Yeah.
but learn how to have the conversation around accountability. So if there is a situation, because Bree, you teetered on this, right? I don't know about that, right? I don't know about that, Sharita. That's not where I'm at. Cool. There's time when it's time to walk away. And this is as we are heading to the end of this podcast. There are times when it's time to walk away. Okay.
Right.
Uh, what are those signs? Signs are no accountability. So if the person doesn't want to take accountability and you're in this space, you work with them, you collaborate with them, they don't, that's a sign. Exploitation of labor. Exploitation of the labor that you give, that others give, that the organization or the business is doing. Ego over mission. Community harm ignored. At what point is staying loyal actually hurting you?
I I think okay, so when my brother was younger, I would tell him people get three chances. You give
Hmm.
people there's three steps before you crash out essentially, right?
Hmm.
Once you tell the person, two, you tell a teacher, someone else, and then three, you're gonna just have to handle it on yourself. And
Hmm.
I think that it is the same. I apply that same thing to the way I handle conflict. The first thing I'm gonna do, I'm never gonna involve and tell and ring bells because it could just be a misunderstanding. You may be going through something. I don't know. I don't know everyone's life. So first, I address the person. That's
Hmm.
not working. Then I'm gonna go to trusted people, not just
Hmm.
whoever's available because I'm mad. Because you know in your community who you can talk to.
Hmm.
You know who you can trust, who you can come to and say, listen, I need guidance and I need an ear. He needs to cry. And then if not, it's like then we just gotta it things just gonna have to happen.
Yeah.
But I think it's those two things are important. First, coming to the person in love and understanding and humility because it could be maybe your own actions that you're not seeing. Maybe I did something that I didn't see that triggered that person, or I had a bad day and I was nasty, and now they held that to give me grace. They
Hmm.
held that in, and then it got bigger.
Yeah.
So I think those two steps are important before you crash out or take any other action.
I totally agree with that. Anytime I do it with my friends, I have things, I'll text one of my sisters and be like, hey, I need you to check me and see if I
Mm-hmm.
was wrong, right? I need
Right.
you to see if my approach, and oftentimes I have one girlfriend, she's a chemist and she's a doula. I sent that to her a while back, that same text, and she said her response, and most of the time it's true, but this was the one time I was actually right. But I love her response. Her initial response was, "Well, if you got to text me that,
Mm.
then you know you probably wrong, right?" So, and a lot of times that could be true for me in certain situations.
I'm cut.
Yeah, you just put your camera off, but we can still hear your baby barking. But and that might be the case in a lot of situations. Um, but that one time she actually heard and she was like, no, you actually were right. So what Bree said, she gave us a strategy. She gave a strategy. She shared it with you all. First, direct. Try to go to that person. The second thing, if I can't get through to them, let me talk to a trusted friend. This isn't gossiping, it's me learning how to process, right? Some of you all are using Chat GPT right now and other AI systems to do exactly that. That's what a friend is for. That's a song. Um, but that is when you start to determine, is this space for you? Those questions, those thoughts I put out there. Community harm is ignored, ego is running before mission, right? Lack of accountability, lack of acknowledgement of it. It sounds like a toxic place. Is it your job to clean up a toxic place? No, it's not. You can't force people to change. You can't. People change when they get ready. We can encourage it, but we can't make people. And that's not even a harm reduction approach, right? Last thing before we start wrapping up, this time flew by fast, and we said it
Mm-hmm.
was Women's History Month, you all. Anytime we're surrounded by groups of people who are pushed to the ends of the earth, some marginalized folks, um, there's tension. There's tension. There's tension in the movements in our history. There's tension. There was tension, I'm sure, in the civil rights movement. There's tension in the feminist movement, especially knowing the history of feminist movement, right? Because in the beginning, uh, it wasn't us, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that history, and if you don't, go research. Organizing spaces. There's a lot of folks that organize and are doing things for our community, and there's tension in that. As Black women, we are leaders in our communities, but as women this month, I want you to sit with that. We women didn't build movements. We didn't build movements because we were perfect. We built them because we were honest. Okay. All right, Tammy. She came in at the end, said, hey baby, some people she with you, Brie. My girl Tammy.
We're here. We're here, Tammy. Some people could just stay right where they at.
The
But
thing
as
is,
women, we need to understand that
and it's
supporting
okay
each
to
other is holding each other accountable.
walk away from a space that no longer serves you.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to say that, you know what? This relationship, this friendship is harmful and I need to walk away. It's okay if you don't agree. But I wanted to start that conversation. So now let me scroll down because I'm at this last minute and I told Ryan I would do this properly and be off. I know we could spend an hour or two on another hour on this, Jose, but we can't. People did not want 2 hours of talking because we tried that when we first started. Women's History Month shouldn't only celebrate our wins, it should also make space for truth. Community isn't just about standing beside each other, it's about standing up for each other, even when the conversation is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, our next episode, and we got a finalization that the one and only Joy Rucker is going to be joining us for a conversation about healing and rebuilding the community. This was the start of this conversation. As we move into that second one, um, we will be talking about the healing and rebuilding. Joy has been in
Hmm.
this work for decades. She is a beast. She's bold. She's unapologetic. What else you want to say about her?
I call her the Beyonce because let me tell you, you try to move through a room with Joy Rucker anywhere and see how many people are like, oh my God, Joy, 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 Joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love her.
Kanisha, I'm gonna have you on here. If she does work with restorative justice, so I would love to have Kanisha on and probably connect you, Bree, to Kanisha. Bree is in New Jersey, Kanisha. So more to come on that. I appreciate you, sis, for joining. I appreciate all of you all for being here. I'm about to get out of here before I get in trouble. I know I'm the ED, but listen, I be getting in trouble with my team when I don't do right. Okay. Um, we look forward to this next episode. And then April, like I said, we'll have some more guests on. Bree may come back and join us to close out with Joy. Uh, close out with us, me, Ryan, and Joy on the 18th. So we look forward to having you all there. Community accountability is not betrayal, y'all. It's care, and care is harm reduction. This has been a great episode of BAM. Thank you for being my co host today and stepping in for
Thank
Ryan.
you for having me.
Yes.
And I'm glad Benji is just starting to act up now.
All
Okay.
right. You guys,
He's
I'll
just
talk to
starting to
you.
act up now because I took him on and I ran him around so he could get tired.
I'll
And
talk to you
now,
guys soon. I'm gonna throw my email in there in the chat. If you're interested in coming on the episode of BAM, being a co-host at some point, we will be doing this with Henry gone. Sometimes we run out of we need someone to co-host with us, with me or Ryan. So if you're interested, I'll throw my email in there so you can reach out and we could talk about what topics resonate with you. And we'll see you on the 18th or whatever that third Thursday, third week of March,
March.
Thursday, for the last episode of Women's History Month. We are out of here. Thank
Bye,
you.
y'all. Oh, okay.